Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you run a business today, your storefront isn't made of glass and brick anymore. It's made of search results and star ratings. Today, we're untangling the make-or-break algorithmic reality of your online corporate reputation and your digital footprint. Because if you manage a brand or honestly care about your public perception in any way whatsoever, you are functioning within a highly complex, highly structured search ecosystem. We're going to break down exactly how information is created, indexed, and interpreted by both machines and humans to form what the world actually sees when they search for you.
Let's kick things off with a massive, highly critical metric that essentially dictates modern commerce: 93%. Just let that number sink in for a second. We aren't talking about a slight majority here. We're talking about a near universal behavioral truth.
Exactly 93 out of 100 consumers rely on Google reviews before making a purchasing decision. Think about that for a moment. We will happily base major financial decisions on the written opinions of complete strangers. We'll literally trust a user named PizzaLover99 over our own intuition. This establishes reviews as the absolute ultimate digital trust signal. Consumer review behavior demonstrates that online reputation isn't just some nice-to-have vanity metric, right? It directly and forcefully influences purchasing decisions. Google reviews function as a prominent reputation signal primarily because they appear directly within search results and local business profiles. They are totally inescapable.
So why is this specific consumer behavior so overwhelmingly prevalent in today's market? Why do we feel this deep, almost instinctual compulsion to check reviews before handing over our hard-earned money? Well, it all comes down to uncertainty. Consumers read these reviews because they provide publicly accessible reputation signals that helps evaluate credibility, reliability, and trustworthiness. Within our modern search ecosystems, these reviews operate as critical informational assets that drastically reduce that uncertainty during the decision-making process.
Section 1. Anatomy of Online Reputation. Understanding the Search Ecosystem. Online reputation isn't just one single metric. Notice the word collective in the definition. Search engines evaluate an entire ecosystem of reviews, content, ratings, and mentions, often rendering a verdict on your trustworthiness right there in the search results, before a user even clicks on your website. Because Google reviews occupy prominent positions right within those results, users can conduct immediate reputation assessments without ever leaving the search page. Your reputation is quite literally the first impression.
Section 2. 5 Vital Trust Signals. Deconstructing the Reputation Framework.
Search algorithms and actual human users look at 5 specific signals to judge you. They analyze sentiment patterns to see if the overall tone is positive or negative, and review volume to gauge your true scale of customer interaction. They check recency indicators because, let's face it, old news is irrelevant news. They look at reviewer credibility to see who is actually speaking, checking the contributor's history. But crucially, they look for thematic consistency. Those repeated themes referencing specific strengths or weaknesses are what ultimately forge your perceived digital identity.
So why does the distribution of these sentiments matter so much? Because it heavily influences how users interpret your credibility. Search engines use these sentiment-related signals to better understand public perception. Now, while sentiment alone doesn't dictate your actual search rankings, a consistent pattern of positive and balanced feedback creates incredibly powerful entity associations. Too much negativity, or actually even an unnatural concentration of perfect positivity, and both the algorithm and the human eye will instantly flag you as a risk.
Section 3. Mastering the Search Ecosystem. How algorithms and humans interact. You know, reputation is never static. It's a constant, relentless 4-step machine. It starts with information creation, when a review, mention, or news article is posted. Then comes content indexing, where search engines sweep it up, store it, and organize it. Next is algorithmic interpretation, where machines weigh your trust, relevance, and authority. And finally, search ranking. Whether the news is good or bad, it all flows continuously through this exact same pipeline to create your searchable identity.
Ultimately, your reputation forms at the intersection of 2 very different forces. On one side, you have cold, calculating machine analysis organizing structured data, evaluating relationships between reviews, citations, and authority indicators. On the flip side, you have human judgment reading that output to evaluate nuance, context, and ultimate trustworthiness. You've got to satisfy the algorithm to be seen and satisfy the human to be trusted. The final perception of your brand lives right in that intersection.
As industry trust research points out, users increasingly rely on collective feedback as a verification mechanism to reduce uncertainty. People just don't want information anymore, they demand verification. Collective feedback acts as a verified asset that drastically reduces buyer friction. Search engines absolutely recognize this behavioral trend, which is exactly why they continue to display review-related information so prominently right at the very top of the page.
Section 4. Controlling your digital footprint. Managing the informational context.
Think of your digital footprint as your permanent online shadow. It's the comprehensive collection of everything searchable about you across online environments. It combines structured data, like your star ratings and review counts, with unstructured data, like the written rants or raves. Every new piece of feedback deepens this footprint. And as more information accumulates, search engines gain much more context to interpret and judge your authority.
The stakes here are obvious and immediate, mostly because consumers rarely rely on a single information source anymore. We compare everything. When your digital footprint has consistent reputation signals across reviews, websites, and third-party references, it builds massive clarity and authority. But if your signals are fragmented or contradictory, you introduce severe perception complexity and search visibility risk. If your story doesn't line up, consumers are going to bounce, and the algorithms will bury you.
In hyper-competitive local search ecosystems specifically, these factors are evaluated continuously. The machines demand fresh, structured feedback to understand current reputation conditions. They want to see consistent ratings over time and recent reviews to ensure you're actually currently relevant. They monitor thematic repetition to define dominant perception patterns, assess reviewer authenticity, and measure your sentiment distribution to gain a perfectly balanced view of your actual business practices.
Section 5. The resolution. Navigating reputation management.
Here's the reality check. Reputation management requires actively analyzing patterns, consistency, and sentiment to control public perception and search visibility. You absolutely cannot treat Google reviews like a passive guestbook where people just leave nice notes. They are highly visible, mathematically indexed trust indicators that must be proactively monitored, understood, and managed. Reputation management is fundamentally concerned with controlling how this information is created, indexed, interpreted, and ranked.
If you're ready to dive deeper into managing these vital signals and taking back control of your footprint, you can explore resources like clearmyname.org. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one critical question to think about. Will you step up and actively design the digital narrative of your business? Or are you willing to just surrender your identity to the whims of search algorithms and complete strangers on the internet? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.